All right, so after we have filed our registration form, that S1, which is going to have that preliminary prospectus, which will eventually become the final prospectus, it's time to sell it. But before we can do that, we have to go on what's called the roadshow. So it says the roadshow is that it happens before an IPO. Senior management team and the investment maker make presentations to potential investors. So they literally go on the road. They'll travel anywhere from 10 to 20 different cities. They'll do, 5, 7, 10 presentations a day. They'll do this for about 2 weeks. And they're literally just going pitch the stock to investors. They're marketing it, basically. Now, the institutional investors can ask questions, but the managers, the investment bankers, their lawyers, they can't disclose any information that was not in the registration statement because they are what is known as the quiet period, or what is called the quiet period. It says the quiet period begins when an IPO registration statement is made effective. It lasts for 40 days after the stock begins, not beings, begins trading. Its purpose, it says, is to create a level playing field for all investors by ensuring that everyone has the same information. And so they can clarify what's in the registration statement, but they can't really say anything more than that. So from the second the registration goes into effect, that it's officially filed and everything, until 40 days after it begins trading. So it can actually be longer than 40 days. And the SEC can even make them delay it even longer if they think the managers have violated the quiet period rules. Also in this time, managers can't make any forecasts or express any opinions about the value of the stock. So again, they can clarify the information in the registration statement and the prospectus, but that's about it. And if the SEC finds out you violated that, they just make you wait longer. Okay? What comes out of doing the roadshow is this book building process. All right, so it says book building is the process of an investment banker recording the number of shares each investor is willing to buy in an IPO. So, you go to these pitches, you basically pitch the stock, right? And then after, you're like, hey, this is the price range we're thinking of for this, stock. How interested would you be? In my mind, I think it's like when kids used to go around and sell chocolate door to door for fundraisers at school, right? It's like, how many chocolate bars can I put you down for? Or how many boxes of, Girl Scout cookies. That's what I was trying to think of. I saw they had a surplus this year because of COVID and everything. And, people didn't want to open up their doors to strangers. They had a surplus of Girl Scout cookies they couldn't get rid of. But that's basically what they're doing, but with a stock instead of cookies. And they're going to literally build their books. And they're going to write down, so-and-so wants this many. And so-and-so wants this many. Now, it's not a promise, right? But you don't want to ruin your relationships with the investment banker because next time maybe they don't offer it to you. So that's what book building is. And then by doing that process, they can see if their IPO is going to be oversubscribed or not. Oversubscribed kind of sounds like what it is. It's when there's demand greater than supply. Right? When there's going to be a greater demand for the shares of the IPO than what the company plans on issuing. Now, when this happens, you may see the investment banker push the price range up, right? Or be more willing to set the final price in the higher range of that, the upper, range of that price range. Or if they're seeing that it is undersubscribed, if there's not enough demand, they may think about lowering the price, reducing the offering price, or completely withdrawing the IPO. we do see IPOs abandoned, and it's not always because the company starts doing poorly. If the economy suddenly turns and to where the market just takes a little bit of a hit or a big hit, then they'll actually withdraw the IPO because they know they won't raise as much money as what they were expecting to raise, right? Because the whole market's going to be lower, so the shares are probably going to start at a lower starting price. And so you'll see them like abandon IPOs at the last minute sometimes because of this. I promise you, anyone who was planning on doing an IPO in March 2020 pulled it, right? There's no way they were going to do an IPO then. It doesn't matter if, how far along the process they were. But that's the process of, going on do the roadshow, doing the book building to see kind of what the demand for the shares are going to be. And once we do that, we can move on to the next step of setting the offer price. Hopefully by keeping these videos nice and short, it's keeping the concepts kind of separate, and you can clearly identify these steps that the investment banker goes through in this process of going public.